Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a translation of a message that I received. The translation reads like this. Hello, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? Please do not mention as well the name of the country from where I do come from, and I won't appreciate it if you share my numbers with anyone. So I always wanted to become a prophet ever since there was this other very big prophet in our country who had brought another big prophet from the neighboring country. They came into our village for a big crusade, so they were moving around the country. And I was just inspired. I also wanted to become a prophet, the prophet of healing. And I wanted people to come from each and every corner of the land. I wanted people to come to me desperate, broken, hoping for miracles. I wanted people to kneel before me. At that time, I had not yet seen that I had these narcissist tendencies in me, because I was not wishing to have these people helped, but I wanted to see thousands and thousands of people kneeling before me as if they are worshiping me, as if they are giving me their prayers, as if I was the only one who could hand over their prayers to God. That is what I used to wish for, Brother Nashi. That is nothing but the whole truth. And I have been carrying this terrible secret for a very long time. My own relatives, they only think that my brother, my half-brother, was a victim of ritual abuse. They do not even know that I was even involved in everything that happened to him. So it all happened when my father remarried. And when my father got married again, then that was when my half-brother was born. He was the golden child in the family. He was favored by my father since he was the one who had the mother that was around. As for me, there was no one who liked me. When our father passed away, everything virtually was left for him, the land, the livestock, and as for me, all that I inherited was my anger, the anger. I hated my half-brother. I hated him and his mother, but there was no way I could go to, even though I used to go to church, but there was one traditional healer that I was in regular communication with since I used to go out hunting. So we were told that when you go out hunting, you need to speak with the gods of the forest so that you won't be bitten by poisonous snakes or get attacked by dangerous wild animals, and then you can catch your game and return with it to the village safely. So even though I was a Christian, I would regularly go to this other traditional healer who would assist me with some herbs. It then happened that when the crusade came, that was when I said, I want to become a prophet. I want to become a pastor. That was what I wanted to become. After that, I then joined the church of that big prophet. But I then started to notice some other things. As a narcissist, you can notice when things are not okay. And then when I was in church, I started to notice that some of the miracles, they were being faked. Some of the tongues that people were speaking in, those tongues, they were not real. They were just fake. And then that was when I decided to go and consult with this traditional healer. I really wanted to know if Christianity was for real, what was really going on. I told her everything that I had witnessed when I had gone to the headquarters of the church, and she then confirmed with me that indeed Christianity was not like fake, it was for real, and there were many gods out there that one could worship amongst our own African gods as well. And I said that I also wanted to worship our African gods, but pretending to be a pastor because I wanted to be rich. She told me that she was unable to give me those type of powers because those type of powers, they can be granted by the devil himself. She then said that she was going to confirm, and I waited until I had almost forgotten. When I was now working in the city, that was when I was called one day. I returned back to the village and she told me that she had a breakthrough, for she had met someone who was willing to offer me some help. And then, yes, indeed, that person helped me. I went to that man's compound, and he told me that he had the powers to make me into becoming a very powerful prophet, in which he said, you're going to become a traditional healer wearing a suit. Do you want to do that? You are not going to be wearing these dirty clothes that most of the people associate with traditional healers. As for you, you are the new generation of traditional healers that can be accepted by society, standing in front of the whole congregation as if you are a pastor, yet you are a traditional healer. Are you able to do that? For I can grant you those powers. I was more than happy to do that. That was when Brother Nashi, I was then invited to his farm. He said, when you come to my farm, I do not want you to inform your relatives where you are going to. You will come and I will show you what we are supposed to do. So we went there, and then there were other men that I met. He then said that with time you are supposed to pay up these men. Little did I know that time that these were the men that were going to murder my own brother. I then returned back to the village. I then gave my half brother some money. At that time he had already started drinking alcohol to go and drink. I sacrificed. That was the only money that I had, apart from the money that I wanted to use as transport money. He then went to drink his alcohol. Later on, I went and then I met up with the guys that had came to kidnap him. I then called my brother when I saw that no one was going to be a witness, and I told him that there was a place where I wanted him to accompany me to. We then went there. Along the way, that was when a car stopped and my brother was kidnapped right in front of my eyes. I then returned back home, and I then slept at home. On that night, that was not the same day that we murdered my own brother. We only murdered my brother after the whole village had searched for him for about a week. I then traveled back to that village where we were holding him up, and then we went with him into the mountains. And then when we arrived in the mountains, that was when we murdered him after he had been murdered before he had breathed his final breath. That was when I was instructed by the traditional healer to take a huge rock. I took that huge rock, and then I had been instructed. I started to smash him with that rock. That was the final part of the ritual. I returned back home. When I returned back home, I am sure that God wanted to reveal to my relatives that I had murdered my own half-brother, because when I arrived at the compound, there was this other little niece of mine. Lucky enough, she was still very young. She noticed that on my shoes there were some blood stains. She said, "Uncle, have you slaughtered a goat or a cow?" I said, "What's wrong?" And then she said, "I see that there is blood on your shoes." I quickly went and I washed my shoes before I had went indoors, and then I removed those shoes. I later threw them away. Later on, that was when we heard that my brother's body had been discovered in the mountains, yet I was the one who had used him for his rituals. So I then had his skull dug up after he had been buried. That is the skull that I use when performing my miracles. The sick indeed, they are healed. If you are a barren woman, come to me and you will conceive. Even if you are broken without hope, come to me and I will give you hope. Like I told you, I have narcissistic tendencies, so there are other things that I do. Even that traditional healer told me not to wish to have a lot of followers, otherwise I am going to expose myself with my narcissism. This is my own story, Brother Nashi. When you post my story, please tell me. I'll be following through in the comment section. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to us by one of our brother right there. Strange things indeed, they do happen in this world.